Hey, hey, hey.
Look who's back.
I am back. I didn't realize how many shows I missed.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really, really exciting to be back for fan club for so many different reasons. We're coming off our 5th anniversary event in Brooklyn on Saturday. My show with the Sun just dropped today. It's a little bit of a pilot. Hey, Keith.
Oh, let's
Um,
give it up.
Thank you. Thank
That's
you.
right.
Hi,
You
Steph.
was
So it's not
phenomenal.
anything, crazy yet. We're just testing things out, but I'm very honored that they approached me to create wrestling content for them because I really don't know who else they could have gotten that would have been like, you know.
You would have put someone in the figure four leg lock if they
Oh
got
yeah,
someone else other than
yeah.
you.
They'd
Like,
be like,
nah.
"Oh, here comes our new wrestling reporter." I would have been like, "Who? What?"
Justin, you missed an opportunity. Now we all know Queen PR is a stunner type lady.
Mm.
Stunner type lady sounds
I mean, I was gonna
hilarious.
say put them through the 3 stages of hell, but I mean, stun
She
them right
teased
out of the
Stone Cold.
competition is
Right.
even better.
You are
How you
absolutely
feeling
right.
though? Because I watched the video and
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was phenomenal. Just obviously,
Hey,
getting
Ricardo.
those stories quickly and getting a quick recap, but also just the Ric Flair. I was like, oh, okay, come through with
Oh
the
God.
exclusive. Um, and then yeah, and then which I can't wait to talk to y'all about
Mhm.
the CW deal.
That is very
So
interesting
that was
news.
huge.
It is huge. And it sparked tonight's topic, which is to discuss and reminisce about what it was like watching wrestling as a kid. Because us old heads remember when wrestling was on the UPN, the CW at one point,
Mhm.
including myself. So we were like, we have to go back and talk about that era and some of the programming that was unique to that time. And I think also just being in the IWC, it's good to go back to when we didn't have that because we
Yeah.
really was able to just experience and like live in the moment. Hey Vaughn. So I'm excited to get into the experience of being a wrestling fan, watching wrestling as a kid later on in the show. Thank you, Vaughn. I do want to give a big, 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 big shout out to, of course, Krista B. And we got our metaphorical and is that a word? I hope so. And
It
literal
is now.
flowers. Thank you, Justin. Put that in the notes just in case we got to add it to Webster. So it was just so amazing to be with our community and be given our flowers. And I'm not a person that really is satisfied ever. So like for me, I was, this is 5 years, but I'm now thinking to the next 5 years. But it was really good to take a moment and celebrate where we've gone in wrestling media, Krista B and I, all the hard work we put in, and then also just what we were able to do for everyone else and just the team that we have was amazing. Hey
Mhm.
Matt, you gave us so much love. I so appreciate it. We are still getting love. We're still getting messages, congratulating us on 5 years because it is not easy to reach that milestone in the content creation world. And speaking of that, um, yes, you did, Vaughn. Thank you. Thank you. So tonight, hey Krista B. So hopefully Krista B can join us. Everybody sent her some love. She's not feeling too well today. Hopefully everyone will join us for Thirsty Thursday tomorrow, and Krista B and I. And also we have not really, even though we hung out last night at Hot 97's Witcher Jam announcement party, but we haven't really been able to kind of spill or react to what happened Saturday night because we, like
Mhm.
I said earlier, we get super overwhelmed. So make sure you join us on Thirsty Thursday tomorrow night. I'm actually going to look at my belt again for the first time because it's in the case and it's so like beautiful. And I'm just like, I don't want to look at it for a while because again, it just brings up so many amazing emotions. So I want to thank Brandon, the guy, you, Brian H. Waters, my sister Letty, and
Medina.
Medina and Seindole for making that come together, and Hugh, I guess,
Yeah.
as well. But it was really good to see him Saturday night. All jokes aside, but I want to thank you guys for making that happen because, like, I that is the last thing I thought was gonna happen. that night, and it was just such an amazing event. Thank you, Krista. Also, she put a lot of work in making that event happen. Shout out to HQ Lounge, shout out to Puzzles, the staff there. They really um were there, and it was great to be like in the community in a black owned business. I want to shout out our sponsors, of course, the alcohol sponsor, Duke and Dame. They have delicious salted caramel whiskey. Our like drink menu was like, ooh, okay. So I want to shout out Duke and Dame. Hopefully we can do more with them. Black Thoughts, who also sponsored the event, and my good friend who he was able to make it. Shout out to Smooth Backman. Cha Cha. And of course we turned up with him Saturday night. We'll get it all into that tomorrow night. But it was exciting to have him there because he also was a part of a big moment for Krista B and I this year, and that was being on A&E's Hidden Treasure show. And him being a part of that made it so much better because going to shows with him is a whole nother experience. So shout out to Cha Cha. Shout out to Wrestling Realm. The brothers at Wrestling Realm. They were actually in the building Saturday night. How did it feel to be at this anniversary celebration? Because we met Brian H. Waters at our third event. And at that point, people thought like Dwayne was an enigma and he didn't really exist. And now, like 2 years later, we're all in such different spaces. And now we were able to be there with Brandon and Hugh. How did that feel?
It felt good, trying to get them Negroes out. But no, in all fairness, like, when I told him, Dwayne would have been there. He just had, previous obligations. But it was cool to be able to sit there and say, y'all, look, let's go to New York. Let's do this. And for brother Brandon, when I approached him like I said, in March with the belts, I said, you must be there. We need to have this happen. I said, I'm bringing this up now because I want this to be the 5th anniversary gift. And I need you there too, because it's just like, I knew that Brandon is the type of person that you can come to him with an idea and it can be a quote unquote C plus. And once you finish talking with him in belts, it'll be an A. And, so I was like, I need you there. And that's why he didn't know I was going to give him the microphone, but it was done by design because I wanted him, because that's his thing of like breaking stuff down. Like I said, all right, this needs to be this and this needs to be that. We need to cater to their personality. And he was like, him being there. So it was good because this is his first time out, period, in the community. Like he's been in wrestling shows, but brother Brandon is used to going to the musty shows, if you know what I'm talking about. The ones that Justin always says.
He's not musty, but
no, he's not musty. But the ones that Justin instructed, Canadian Destroy the Bathroom. He's used to those shows in that community.
Still applies.
Right. So brother Hugh had been out before, but it was like brother Brandon's like first time. You could see, like, I mean, when y'all got to see the pictures when they come out. Just you could see how comforting. So it felt great. Felt great to have my brothers there.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And thank you again, everyone that made that happen. Everyone that attended, everyone who bought a ticket. Of course, our sponsor. Shout out Ringside Club. They were mostly, all of them were in the building last night. That was a good look. And they have sponsored the event. This is their second time sponsoring the event. And it was just all in all a really good night. So like I
last year was their introduction to the community, right?
Yeah, 1,000%. And it's always that shock, like, wow, there's a community of Black wrestling fans out there. Like, there's a shock.
This was me at the 3rd year anniversary party when I met a lot of y'all for the first time outside of like P.
Right. Yo, and I'm so glad you did. And now there was one part, and we actually live streamed because me and Krista B did talk a little bit, did a little bit of a live show. It is on YouTube, so make sure you go check that out. Thank you, Brian, for producing that. And if you haven't seen the most fucking wholesome, adorable video of Brian H. Waters surprising us with our tag team championship belts, please go check it out. It is the sweetest thing you'll fucking watch.
Yo, my heart was beating fast.
Is fucking
the way you ripped that shit off. I thought you were gonna fling the belts because it looks like they didn't want to come out of like the rapper shit. So it was like, oh man.
Well, because I just knew that I didn't. Shout out to Mike. I don't know if he's here yet, but Mike helped me do it because any other time Krista and P would be in their location and just stay there the whole time. P is walking past me, and I'm holding the belts, and I'm like, okay. And then they're in the bag, and I'm holding the bag. And I said, Mike, hold the curtain up. He said, I got you. He held the curtain up. I said,
That's
all right,
so
ready?
him.
And I said, all right, ready? 3, 2, 1. And then he looked, he said, whoa. And I said, yeah. He said, mm-hmm.
Oh my
So
god, that's
then
so
we
him.
wrapped we wrapped it and then put it on the table. And then you saw so if you remember, the table was right there near the photo booth, quote
Mm-hmm.
unquote. And I was like, nah, this ain't gonna work because all that. So then we moved it, and I said, and so that was a whole thing. So that's when I forgot when I was taking them off that they was like tucked, and that's why they fell. And I was like, oh shoot. But I keep looking back at it, and I was like, I can't tell if you knew exactly what it was when they
Oh
hit the
no, I would have
ground.
never I would
Or,
have never guessed that. That was not on my radar. Like
yeah.
Krista was the one that like asked about belts particularly, but it was like I can't think of a better way
And I
of
kept having to no sell her, and it was straight up live, like, "Oh yeah, you got to put in," which is true. Like you got to put in that for months and weeks. Well, I didn't, and every time, and I'm just like, and even when she brought up in like August, September, and I'm like,
Yep. And when we were streaming on
yeah,
Saturday
during the
night.
and at that point, I was like, you know, so it was fun, but to see the look on her face made
You
everything
really did.
worth it.
It is the
Just
best.
because y'all put in so much hard work. And the crazy thing is I had this whole speech build up that I was saying and writing the whole drive there. But
Oh.
I could and then drew a blank. But y'all put in so much work, and it was the way that I wanted to present y'all with a
Mhm.
wonderful reward along with everybody else who was involved. So
I really
shout
appreciate
out to
that.
Letty. Letty always gonna get the higher credit and praise for me
Oh,
because
always.
she just when I like soon as I like brought up the idea, okay, cool. She was with it. And then for her to come over and be like, you want to take pictures? You want me to get pictures? I said, oh, thank you. Like, cause Letty has the eye, and that's something you
Mhm,
can't teach.
mhm.
She has that
She
eye,
absolutely
and
does.
she'll never take credit for it, but we have a lot of great experiences that we were able to relive because of her. When you
Mhm.
look at
Oh,
this anniversary,
1,000%,
that
1,000%.
anniversary, few of Jay Bougie's matches, like
Mhm.
I owe like a lot of great photos in my life. It's because of King Letty. So shout out to
We
King
love her,
Letty.
and she's good at everything, and she's always there, and she's gonna be doing more stuff with us. Me and her actually have some things planned to do
Mhm.
together, so it is gonna be exciting.
Mhm.
But we are gonna. There's so much tea to spill from Saturday night. Like if you were not there, like you
I
missed
just
out.
got one
But
more shout out.
please,
I gotta give a shout out to one of the most important person in the room, because if it wasn't for this person being in the room, there would be no TWG, and that is the one and only Miss Rogers.
yeah. She was
Mamita.
there. Yes. Yes. Thank you for that. Yes, my mom was there. She was decked out. She actually was wearing, she had the same shirt as me. She was wearing
Mhm.
all pink. We had the same similar, we was kind of like twinning that night, but she walked in just as I was giving Letty her flowers. So
Mhm.
that was just very much like, okay, yeah, God knows what he's doing. Yeah, oh, she loves you too, Krista B. So yeah, just I want to thank everyone. Thank you, Vaughn, that came out. We'll get more into it tomorrow night for Thirsty Thursday. That's streaming everywhere. You always want to be there. Not a misses, but thanks, Vaughn. Like, don't miss out on Thirsty Thursday. It is a
Mhm.
really, really good time. So let's get into why we're here tonight, because when I was recording, they had just finished this week when the CW news dropped. We had just
Oh,
finished recording
breaking the fourth
um
wall,
the
yeah.
first episode of the new stuff that I was doing. And then someone sent me the link, and I was like, oh my God, wait, hold on. So I went to the video team. And what I will say, and I never do this, but I'm going to give myself a pat on the back, is I really stepped out of my comfort zone in a lot of ways making this happen. And I just want to say thank you. And I just want to say that's because of I'm just gonna say that's all for you, Nietzsche, because it made me just be like, what, like life is short. Like, what the fuck? Why not? I would have been afraid to inconvenience the video team because I would have been like, no, we just recorded. But I was like, I can't put out a quote unquote, new wrestling news show and this is like the biggest news ever, like in the moment. So I was like, hey, do you think we could record? And it was like, yes, of course. And the fact that that was the reaction is just like, yo, just go for it. Like, if there's anything, us making 5 years, all of us on the stream, Krista B, growing professionally, personally, one thing I've learned is just fucking go for it. Like, what's the word? What's the worst that could have happened? All he would have said was, it's a little too late. Oh, okay, cool, no problem. But we ended up being able to add that into it, and it sparked the topic for tonight because we remember wrestling on the CW and it was exciting. How did you guys feel, or how do you guys feel about the CW deal? It starts October 24th, if I'm not mistaken, NXT. How do you guys feel about that? Where do you think that's leading? What do you think is the business reason for that? Because NWA was supposed to originally have that TV deal, so it's a bit spicy. I'm just saying. So it's like, we are in a time where wrestling is making moves that are like historic and really exciting.
Let me talk to you. See, because like this is exciting for me. I was, I majored in television production, and here's the thing: we all thought when WWE put on that NXT WrestleMania, as the guy likes to call it, when they had John Cena, Undertaker, and everybody, Paul Heyman, we was all thinking, oh yeah, they just sticking it to Tony Khan. Might be true. Whole time they auditioning for CW. And then when you look at
okay.
And when you look at that press release, right, you see terminology. What up, Matt? Such as more than millions of homes. It's like hundreds of millions of homes because it's on CW. But it's the same. But they made sure they named names. Becky Lynch, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, all came through NXT. So now, if you're just a regular person that doesn't really follow wrestling, but you recognize those names and you read that release, you're like, oh, okay, so this is how they came up. So this show must be worth tuning into. So to see that, and we all be like wrestling fans, let's get Mello, let's get Braun, main roster. Nah, slow down. Because I kept saying they could still cook, and they building up the USA Network to the point that the word on the street, it's over $30+ million that they being offered. So what that makes me say is, okay, now these NXT people hopefully gonna get a little bit more money than what they've been getting. So overall, I think this is great for business. As a person, I'm gonna close out this point. As a person who didn't have cable in their room, SmackDown was my favorite show. Because I could only, and we'll get into the shows that we watched. I'm so excited about that. But I had ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, and at the time it was the WB and then UPN, right? So I could only watch SmackDown. And then, but now seeing that network television is getting wrestling, a premier wrestling show, is great, and I'm excited for it.
Me too.
So the only thing I'll add to that, because Brian put a lot of great points out there, I'm a little more lukewarm just because like I don't watch the CW on a reg, and as someone that doesn't have like cable TV, I have Sling, so I have to go track first. I got to make sure Sling has the CW. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to be one of that's like, do I really gotta change providers just so I can get the CW, just so I can watch NXT, or am I really gonna have to dub NXT even though they're putting on some fantastic work this year? And it's kind of like, do we really need to move it from USA? But then again, you got to think big picture where it's like they're going bigger, they're going better. CW, you're going more family oriented, especially in Florida, the home of Universal Studios, Walt Disney, and all that. It makes a lot of sense business wise. It's just one of those, it's like, for those that don't have the CW at the helm, and we got to go track this down to see, like, do we have this network? If not, how do we go pull this up? Is this going to be something extra, especially at a time where, HBO Max is raising their prices. Netflix already hit us up with it. Yo, we're about to raise your prices. And a lot of different streaming services are upping their prices on a lot of stuff. It's like, That's where I'm like a little indifferent on it, just because like you guys could have stayed where you were at, and people were starting to flock more to NXT. And I was like, damn, now we got to change up in the year, but we have time to figure that out. That's a good problem to have right now.
But you know what? You can get the a little paper clip, put it in the back of your TV, and pull in the signal. That's what put about it being on. Yeah, it being available everywhere.
So
Of
I
course
need
we
to put
used
a
to
paper
stream it.
clip on the back of my flat screen, big screen, just for the CW
I've done
on
it.
some like 1980s hood shit. Do I gotta get like, the styrofoam and the little antennas and start moving, the ears around and shit like that? Do I gotta get the aluminum foil? Yo, hang
You
it this
remember when
way.
you remember when I think it was I think Comcast one point was charging somebody was charging extra for network television shows. Yeah, bumped that. I wasn't paying that. I little paper clip. That's how I was able to watch. It was like when Marlon, the TV show Marlon was
So
hot.
wild to think now.
Wait, the
Like,
TV show
legit.
Marlon?
Yeah, but you know,
He had his own show?
It lasted like 2 seasons. Him and Essence Atkins, Marlon Wayans. I liked it, but I like Essence Atkins and Marlon Wayans as actors and actresses. But yeah, but I think this is and Matt brought up a good point. Interested to see where Raw lands, because when TV like these, because it's like SmackDown's supposed to be moving to USA. It's hard. Like now, Raw need to stay. I know we talk about this all the time. Change? No. Keep Raw on USA. You know, I'm glad it's not on the Sci-Fi Channel. Because you remember,
I was just thinking about that the other day or yesterday when the news dropped. Like
Or
all
what
the
was it,
channels that you
TNN?
could watch wrestling on at some point. Crazy.
Yeah,
It's hard to see them not on USA, especially when you have like Ms. and Mrs. also there, and Raw ties into other shows for USA. I think, like, honestly, if not for Raw, why else would we watch the USA Network?
That part. Or Lord on SVU. Without those two things,
Gong Gong.
USA might be out of business.
I was gonna say, do y'all watch anything on CW? I watch All American, so I'm very excited.
No, I have not watched anything on CW since Gossip Girl.
Okay,
I was like mid 2000s.
Ooh, that was a show. Like the
I'm
last time I watched
CW, that's one of my favorites.
I think I was over at someone's house and we were watching football, and that was the one time where they had like the football game on where they were teaching the kids and they would like do the slime and the touchdown in the end zone when people scored. No, that was CW.
Okay.
Unless MTV was like, "Yo, we're gonna put this on our network too." But like originally that was on CW. So I was like, "What the fuck is this shit?" And then we watched. It's like, "Yo, they get slime every time someone's touchdowns." Like, can we keep this? That's actually kind of cool.
Yeah, it was it was one of those things. Like I'm thinking of like, so All American is, to summarize, it's a black drama, and it's a
She know about SVU watching it on USA. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm excited about the possibility of a crossover, because it's a black drama that's about like kids like going from high school to college and stuff, and like one of All American Homecoming is like their HBCUs. So I'm seeing Carmelo Hayes doing a special appearance, or Trick Williams showing up to Homecoming, or Chase U being heels down there. So I'm thinking like all the possibilities. But you notice like the way NXT product has been going with all the dramatic effects, and shout out to Cal, I'm taking his statement. Look at that camera angle last night with Mello and that hug with Trick Williams and the slow pan. They're getting us ready. It's going to be the drama is about to unfold even more. Shout out to Letty in the building. And so
hey Letty.
This is good. It's always fun when it's always interesting, I should say. Maybe not necessarily fun, as we talked about Sci-Fi Channel. It's always interesting when wrestling jumps to a different network, because you start to see, okay, how will they work with the other shows? And one of the things, inside the NFL is on CW. So blocking is going to be
still going to? Damn.
Yeah, you don't like that? That's a classic.
It's a classic. I haven't watched it in a while now. If you said Inside the NBA, like Matt was saying, I was like, yo, yes.
Yeah,
that's my shit. But Inside the NFL, yeah, it's been a minute.
But anything NFL, that like there was a saying, NFL is king, and if you block a show for, I think people probably can guess what it means. Is putting the show before after. If the NFL leads into this, or this leads into the NFL, it's going to be interesting because it's the opportunity to pull more eyeballs. So it's going to be important for them to have a strong opener, a strong closer. That's what I'm excited about, what they're doing with the women. You look at
Mhm.
people like Julia, who's being rumored to be coming to WWE. Will Ospreay, if they go to NXT, it's not going to seem like such a demotion because they're probably going to get a nice, pretty penny. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? Now, the reason why I think maybe Jay Cargill may be a little not yet, just because the way they've been showing and positioning her, but I could also see her bouncing back and forth. So this is going to be certainly interesting, especially when they hit the next line of free agents when they in 2024 and whoever is available.
Right. Mm. I dig it. Well, I don't want to mirror everything that you said, Brian,
Mhm.
but it's all because we don't know where everything else is gonna land.
Yeah,
So that's the
the
thing. So this could just be these are chess pieces, and that's why like the comparisons between certain companies with WWE will never be a comparison because they are not operating like a wrestling
Mhm.
company. They operate like a Fortune 500 company, and these are chess moves. And people on Twitter think they fucking know what's going on, and it's like no, they don't. So this could all unfold in so many different ways.
Matt
You know,
put
I
it
look.
perfect in the chat where he's like, it all depends on who gets the NBA. That's a great
Right.
point
Mhm.
because
Right.
you're talking about dominoes falling. That's a humongous domino that
Yeah.
needs to fall because their media rights deals coming up, and TNT has some of it, ESPN has some of it too, and it's like, yo, I could see them staying with TNT, which will take away one channel. But then if ESPN says no and passes on it, I would love to see the
Mhm.
NBA go back to NBC, its rightful home. But
Please, we
then
want the music. We want
we
the
want.
music.
I mean, as a fan of St. John's basketball, I get the music thanks to Fox Sports because they use
Yeah,
that for
it
Big
ain't the
East
same.
basketball. But it's not the same
Yeah.
because NBA used to be NBC, and that used to be a big fucking deal. And if NBC brings back the NBA, that frees up. ESPN's taking a step back on a lot of things, but then we don't know what
Wow.
other networks are taking a step back
Eight
or taking a step forward.
billion.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
but you got to remember is like, yes, people love their football. Football season's very short. It's September through
Yeah.
December, and then you have the playoffs. Whereas basketball, that goes almost 9 months, and then around the spring or after like Mania, now you got playoffs. So you got April, May, going into June of just
Mhm.
playoffs, and then the finals. People tune in unless the teams absolutely suck, which they don't. Like basketball is the second biggest sport outside of football,
Thousand
and
percent.
arguably, well, no, I
But
won't
you,
say arguably number one because college football is just like its own goddamn like
but
entity.
you know,
But
like
football's
this is
huge
what
here.
where they talk about like the ratings always take care of itself. I was listening to Jonathan Coachman. He sat down with Chris Van Vliet, and one of the things he said, Vince will always take crowd reaction over the rating. We go back to when The Rock showed up. The reason why that didn't leak is because if that leaks, you know what happens during the show? While Austin Theory's out there trying to talk, there's going to be a whole bunch of Rocky chants. But instead, he had his moment, and then boom, the music hit, shocked everybody. Then
Mhm.
people flocked to the television. Then social media numbers, so that's the thing. And I'm excited for what type of surprises that we'll get. And I know this is coming down the line, but we've seen, we've been watching NXT, and then all of a sudden, like, holy shit, somebody so and so just showed up. So this is it's so good to see WWE firing on all cylinders. And this is why I always said, like, when it comes to producer HBK, man, he is cooking. Last night, Ava Rain, you know, walking to his office. We don't know what in the world's going on. But the thing is, you got to pay attention to every frame of television.
Mhm.
And this is the type of stuff. And this is why CW is like, yeah, we want to pay 8-figure deals. And this is how NWA dropped the bag. That might be the
A lot
biggest
of
fumble.
backdrop in there.
Yeah, like what in the world was that spot for? I like why? Like why? And now, and and for all intents and purposes, they may have been, the way that Nick Khan could have been like, "Oh, y'all interested? Well, how about check this out?" But still, like, this is how you know who runs what and when which company has their locker room and stuff under control.
Right. And
That
that's a
part.
big part of it. Cause we consume wrestling, but like those are your coworkers. That's like your work environment. And that needs to
Mhm,
be a certain level, or it's gonna show itself on TV as well.
mhm.
So there's like so many moving parts to that. It really, really, really is. Um, so are you guys ready to take a quick break and then we can get into some reminiscing and talk about what we miss about watching wrestling as a kid and all
Mhm.
of the magic that was of changing the channel and or discovering wrestling on cable, like all those things, or even just the fact that you couldn't watch wrestling on demand at one point. And that's so crazy to think about now. Cause like if I wanted to watch a Shawn Michaels match, I can go on YouTube, I can go on TikTok, I can fire up the cop. And I can that's Peacock. I heard that one time and I was like, oh my God,
We
that's why
firing up Cox now?
the guy.
Pause.
I think we are. I think we are. If you want to watch some wrestling, that's what you're gonna have to do. But back then we didn't have that.
Mhm.
We didn't have that back then. So we are gonna go back to when you could really like live in kayfabe and suspend belief and really be into it. And it was also more of like a family thing as well.
Mhm.
Especially the era that we grew up in, like the late 80s and the 90s. That was something you watched with your family. So I really want to go back to that time. So I want everyone that is in the fan club tonight. Shout out to Vaughn, Trell, Keith, Matt, Ricard, that are in the comments. What do you guys miss about watching wrestling as a kid? What are some of your favorite memories as a kid doing watching wrestling? What channels did you guys watch wrestling
I
on?
want to see numbers.
I
I
want
want
to
y'all to
see
fire up the numbers.
channel numbers.
54,
That's fun.
6, 12, well,
Yeah.
17. Yeah, fire them up.
Let's fire it up. Let's reminisce. Let's go
Y'all gonna
back.
make me feel old as shit during this, but let's go.
I mean, we're talking about fucking cable boxes with the red numbers. That's my age.
Mm.
So we getting into it. We getting into it. So make sure you guys flood the comments with some of your memories. We'll get all into that. I also tweeted our followers to tell us some of the things they miss about watching wrestling as a kid. So we'll get into some of those that were sent in. So let's how about we take a
Mhm.
break and we'll be right back. We'll
All
get
right.
into it. And she made history carrying this briefcase.
She did. And I like the fact that she kept teasing. Every time
Yes.
the opportunity came
So
up,
fucking good and
she
funny.
kept teasing. She kept like, "Am I going to?" Or she'll run to the ring and be like, "No."
That
No.
was so good. So she held it for
Right.
I think 284 days, which is the longest that anyone has. 287 days. That was the longest a woman has held it. And this is why I always say I think heels should carry the briefcase or Uber baby faces, because she was able to tease us every week and it made us hate her more. Shout out to Carmela. We are going to be getting into more episodes in the new year. It's been a wild time. So just subscribe on YouTube. You get replays of Fan Club. We're streaming every week on Twitch. Definitely tomorrow night for Thirsty Thursday. So please make sure you show up to that. And thank you all for the love. I've been looking on Instagram and we're still getting so much love, and also on some of the work that I did with the sun today. So thank you for that. So guys,
Let's talk.
let's go back in time
Mhm. Mhm.
to when we were kids growing up watching wrestling. So everyone at this point knows my wrestling origin story, I'm pretty sure. Hey Andre, thanks for showing up. What's your favorite wrestling memory as a kid? Let us know in the comments. And what channels did you watch wrestling on? So I want to hear your origin stories, because me and Krista we talk about ours all the time. How did you guys first? What is your first memory of seeing wrestling on your television?
You want to go first, Brian? You want me to take it?
I'm gonna show y'all. This is the shirt. Shout out to my god brother. You can see Hogan on the back. I mean,
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
That's my first memory. I would say my first like television show, probably this one right here, WWF Superstars.
Ooh,
Yes.
that's
You know,
so
I was looking for
nostalgic.
like the logos and stuff, but the thing that I remember vividly, and I had to use these, was the fact of the two screens, and you would always have like whoever's the rival. So like you got Shawn Michaels in the top corner with Sensational Sherry, and then it's doing a Bret Hart match, it's doing that for you. Then the advertisement of the magazine, and so stuff like that, and that's what always made me want to go out and get the magazines when I was younger. And when we'd be in the store, you see that, and like that's what the big blue block logo is special to me, because I it's
Mm.
like takes me back to my childhood and seeing that. But yeah, WWF Superstars, and you may remember would come on twice on Saturdays at 12 and at 4. So if my mother and father had like choir rehearsal, or we was doing shopping for church the next day, I might miss the 12 o'clock version, but come home at 4 and it was on, or I might see it. And then I was the child, like if I watched it earlier and it came back on, I was watching it again, like I didn't watch the whole thing. But yeah, that's definitely like some of my early memories.
I love it.
So I had to Wikipedia these shows because it's the Titanic meme. It's been 84 years. It's been so long. Like I go back all the way to the Bronx. I'm talking about the TV in the middle of like the fucking entertainment center where you have to turn the knob to change the channels, or you have cable vision where you go to the menu and the menus go on one at a time, and if you miss the channel, you gotta wait like the damn 2 minutes for it to start all the way at the beginning at one for all the channels for what's listed and how to pull it up. So I go back to like, Saturday night's main event, all the way back to wrestling challenge. I've said this on a previous fan club. Like for me, my vivid year that I remember watching wrestling like that was 1991. Going back to the Royal Rumble, Ultimate Warrior, Sergeant Slaughter for the title, Macho King
Wow, throwing it
cost
back.
Ultimate Warrior the title. That's how Slaughter gets it, and that leads to WrestleMania 7, which for me, I vividly remember WrestleMania 7. I've watched it so many times. Like I have that card damn near memorized from start to
What
finish.
when did Wrestling Challenge, was that the Sunday show? Sunday morning?
I believe so. I know it was over the weekend, and obviously Saturday
Okay.
night's main event. But I think that was the Sunday show.
Yeah, now you bring it up, I remember that, because that would be, I most of the time would be in church, but if we didn't go, I would know that wrestler would come on, and I would watch that.
Like I know I watched these shows because like my mom will be like, nah, you and your cousins were like fucking fanatics. Like you guys had the wrestling buddies. You had He Will Shall Not Be Named. Your cousin had Macho Man, when the Mr. Softy trucks would come, like the Mr. Softy trucks actually had like the fucking ice creams, those little sandwiches that we would get. So that was our introduction. When you put up the Superstars graphic, I was like, yeah, I definitely had a lunchbox with that shit. I forget who my person was that I had, but we were fanatics like that. And then like the title belts where it was like a foam belt, but then they had like the winged eagle like plastic on top of it. Lo and behold, 30 years later, I would actually own this motherfucker. But
I
like
know, right?
back in the day, I had the foam belt with like the plastic on it. My cousin had the IC belt. They didn't sell the tag team ones, which I was a little pissed off about. But again, as an adult, we got it. But 91, man, that was a great year. That's a transition year. You still got Hogan at the top. Macho Man, you don't know if kayfabe he's leaving or not. You have Brett transitioning out into a singles run around WrestleMania 7 and after that. And then later on that year, that's when you get Shawn Michaels, the infamous, Bruce the Barber segment, him and Marty kicking him through the fucking barbershop. So then now you have Brett and Shawn going solo. Legion of Doom's here. So now you got the Road Warriors and the focus on tag team. But now you kind of see like we're going away from the old guard and the OGs to more like your Bretts, your Shawns, your Roddy Piper. Piper wins the IC title for the very first time, the only time he's held a title in WWF. And just like 91, man. I mean, especially SummerSlam. I've said that on Fan Club too. Like, that's my first wrestling experience, going to SummerSlam in MSG. The
Wow.
match made in heaven, the match made in hell. Watching Brett win his first singles title. Watching Hogan and Warrior team up against Slaughter and the rest of them. Watching Macho Man get married. But then watching Legion, and it's like, but then you go back and watch that, it's like, bro, Andre was on that card. Damn, he's no longer here with us. Roddy was on that card. Damn, he's no longer here with us. Heenan and fucking Gorilla on commentary and this shit that's like, as a kid, you were like, bro, you know, you have Ricky the Dragon Steamboat in I think it was a 6-man tag match. And it's just like, bro, there's so many, like, that person's a Hall of Famer, that person's a Hall of Famer. It's like, damn, they're no longer with us. But it's like, that was a moment. And for me, who was like 6, was just like, I get to see this in person. Like, bro, I know I probably had like tears going out my eyes, like, oh my fucking God.
Aw.
Yeah, but and you know the thing is just like that experience of, like you said, watching wrestling on TV, right? As a child, if you didn't like have a VCR, if you missed it, it was like, God dang. Or if you like say you fell asleep and you know didn't wake up in time, you was like almost hurt. And you know, I even go back, you know, I put in this thing I label other shows because we won't spend too much time on them. What was like Saturday night's main event, LimeWire, Livewire, I called it LimeWire. Livewire, that was like your Saturday morning recap show. And then Velocity and Shotgun Saturday Night was your Saturday evening shows where you got like pretty much the jobbers with the recaps, especially if
Oh wow.
yeah, you know, like I said, I didn't have you know, cable in my room. So this is, and then when we didn't have cable and after 90 from 97 to 01, all I had Shotgun Saturday Night got me through those days. But WCW, you know, WCW Saturday Night was a staple. You know, that's what I look at AEW Collision as an attempt to be. And they're doing a good job. But WCW Worldwide, shout out to Dave for that's how the Wednesday Worldwide name came. But WCW Worldwide every Saturday morning, and that was another one I believe came. It may have came on twice. Somebody let me know in the comments. But that one and WCW Main Event, which was Sunday night, and I feel like a lot of times that show was on like really late. Like my TV was supposed to be off by then late, but it was on, so I was like watching it. But yeah, these are just like some of those extra shows that you know, and obviously Saturday night's main event. I didn't realize the importance of the show as a child because it always felt random, right? Like I was like, oh, WCW, I mean W wrestling on tonight. And I remember like sometimes them building to it, but it never clicked to me that it was like, I guess quarterly. So I was like, wait, it was on this week. Why wasn't it on last week or whatever?
You weren't excited to watch Jake the Snake mix it up with Dino Bravo?
Man, I was young. Yeah, I was young. Yo, Keith, Shotgun Saturday Night, that was definitely when you don't have cable, you look for you. I was recording it and watching it throughout the week just to see what the Stone Cold do the week before. So I've lived the first part until my grandmother started recording it for me. I lived a lot of that Austin McMahon era through Shotgun Saturday Night.
Yeah, shout out to my pops because we had cable, but one of the few things he got right, that man had a VCR and was taping all these motherfuckers. So for a while, I had all the big fours on tape. I had, you know, Saturday Night's Main Event or Wrestling Challenge. That way, like, oh, Jay's acting up. Fuck it, put in the tape. It's either Moonwalker, Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, or it was wrestling because of them damn tapes.
Yeah.
Tapes.
Yo, it did come right on after Mad TV.
Like tapes alone. Also, can we also talk about the lead-ins? Because we didn't have streaming services, so when cable state or like TV wanted to debut a new show, they would always put it right after or before wrestling because they knew that a lot of it was a very like religious thing. I shouldn't say religious, but a routine thing to watch wrestling. So it's like, okay, well, we already know we got that audience. So let's throw a show on there. And I discovered so many shows from that, or just that I remember. Like I used to watch roller derby. Did anyone watch roller derby as a kid?
No, but you say shows. What came in mind was before Bruce Willis did Die Hard, fucking what was it, Moonlighting? Like that's a if you know, you
Throwback.
know.
Throwback.
You know what though? Like, did y'all remember seeing recently on Raw somebody had a sign that said "Silk Stockings" or "Bring back silk stockings"?
Mm.
Yes, that's taking it back. That's like, nah, I don't need to see your ID. When were you born? Why do you know about silk? Now, I guarantee you, no one
That
under
was like
35 knows about silk stockings.
yes, that was a Raw lead-in or you know what I mean? Like you always saw that one.
Oh man.
But can we get into the Monday Night War era?
Please, because
Yeah,
I'm
let's fast forward because that's too
fascinated.
far, man.
You know, I mean, just like WCW versus
Ooh, that looks
WWE.
so good.
You know, like I was looking for like cool screen grabs of Nitro. You know, I didn't. You know, you look back over the years, and obviously knowing what we know now, this is the reason why I don't pay attention when these fans say
They
it's
don't
a
know
war.
shit.
This was a war. You know, I mean, you I know it's been beat to death. Hogan versus Goldberg on TV, but how many people tuned in that night? You know what I
That
mean?
was a moment.
That was
Yeah.
a moment.
They
And
sold
then-
out the fucking Georgia Dome.
Yo, in minutes though, and that was the crazy part.
Mhm.
You know, just the fact in you know, it's like, wait a minute, what the world? But you know, and then obviously on Monday Night Raw, you had DX running things, and just to think, like we was at Raw Brooklyn, and you know, you saw Triple H and Shawn Michaels standing there, and I was like, yo, at one point, these guys were almost the reason WWF was taking off USA Network, and here they are in charge of everything, you know. But this right here, this was nostalgic too, to see like
So
the Raw
nostalgic.
logo, the ugly
Yo,
WCW,
Thunder.
but Thunder.
I don't like that WCW. That logo is
That's
trash. You talking about the one on the bottom left, right?
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh my god. I'm so glad you put like all this up with the logos because it just gives you this like you remember where you were in those moments. Like also, does anyone else hear the Raw theme with the fire when they look at these logos?
Yes.
I do. Like I think about like Stone Cold like literally walking through fire. Like,
Yeah.
like it was that dramatic.
And even when they put it on Warzone, you know, like the video game, it's like you said, it was just, man, it was just everything. And you know, watch it Thunder, because like Thunder was
Let's watch Thunder in the comments. I need to know.
It was for me going over my grandmother's house, and especially spring break. That was like a spring break special, because it was like, oh wait, wrestling do come on Thursday, because it was there before SmackDown. And then, you know, they had the blue ropes first. And I remember when SmackDown debuted, the first thing my godbrother Marlon was like, yo, this joint look just like Thunder. I was like, what? But you would never say that now, because it just came in. It was SmackDown was so much better. But do y'all remember the pilot episode of SmackDown?
Oh yes.
You know,
not vividly. Refresh my memory.
The night the corporate ministry debut came together. And it was and the main event was Austin and Rock versus Triple H and Undertaker. And we didn't know about, like, we knew that you had the corporation, you had the Ministry of Darkness, but they were both heels. And then it was like a big shock. And knowing what we know about television, that's how you pop a rating. You know, it was like you already, and you get that moment because it was shocking. And man, as much as I hate wrestling Twitter sometimes, I wish we could have a way to react in real time on social media.
Oh nah, we would have been uncouth.
So there was this one Twitter account that I was following. I wasn't following. I came across it. It was the anniversary. I want to say it might have been the 50th. If y'all would know if this sounds right. 50th anniversary of JFK's death, right? And whoever was running this particular Twitter account was going through the day as if it was that day, and they were tweeting like updates as if it was like, okay, we just got work, you know what I mean? And while it kind of sounds like creepy, but it's like, man, imagine you could do that with something fun like wrestling on so many of these nights. Oh my gosh, Austin just stunned McMahon. Nobody stuns McMahon. Stuff like that. But yeah, just seeing that. And I know I kind of went backwards, but this right here, especially, I'm gonna be honest. I marked out my first on my way to my first MSG show was when I saw the Manhattan Center.
Yeah. Shout out to the Manhattan Center. Are there
Mhm.
any other New Yorkers in the building tonight? I need to know because that is so iconic.
Yeah,
That's where it all began.
yeah, this is obviously, you look at the 1-2-3 kid, he's clearly the Lightning kid. You can look at the gear and tell. And then, Lex Luger, when he was the narcissist going against some jobber, but like these was those moments. And
Jobber is wild.
huh?
I said some jobber is
No,
wild.
that's very accurate at that time.
Yeah, and the crazy thing
It
is
was
that's what
probably Matt Hardy.
Yeah, and that's how it is. Like back in the day, that's what it was. That was sometimes you go, all right, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. That's what I did during the 1-2-3 kid Razor Ramon match. Went to get water and missed the finish. But again, like you didn't have, unless somebody was recording it, you couldn't just stop it,
Right.
rewind it, or whatever. And granted, we love the convenience of a DVR, but it was something special about needing to be home to watch wrestling.
Oh yeah.
But we needed that damn VCR because it was like you pick one. It's like as much as you would flick back and forth, you were either WWE or
Yep.
WCW, or you were trying to flick back and forth and catch the right timing. But then if you flick back and forth, you were missing stuff. It's like, fuck, this one's on commercial. All right, let me click back to this channel. Damn it, I missed this. And it's like, it was a lot of that. So it's like, all right, either you're a WWE person like me, or you were a hardcore WCW person. And it's like occasionally they would intertwine, but then there was just that, you can't miss anything. That's why we needed the VCRs back then.
Is there anybody in the North that was more WCW than WWF? Because like if you talk to people in the South, most of them are more WCW. And even though most of the people were past regions, but okay, Keith said he was more WCW. Interesting.
Oh, he from Jersey, so
I was say it's harder. It's harder up north because WWE really made like that New York City area and anything close to it, like home base.
Oh my God. I'm sorry, I don't mean to change gears, but thank you for putting that in the comments. That is very exciting because I have a couple of dear friends who are actresses and they have been out of work and been protesting and doing a lot that they can do. So I'm so glad. Can we do a applause for that? That's amazing.
Well, we know what The Rock's doing for WrestleMania.
So now let's get my Law and Order back on. Let's get all my shows. Let's get them fucking wheels turning.
We need our novellas.
Yes, we definitely need our novellas. But that's interesting, Keith. So what was it about? Were you first introduced to WCW and that's why you gravitated towards that, or did you just like the WCW product better than the WWE?
Yeah, because
I'm very interested in that because I didn't watch WCW as a kid at all. I was just purely WWE.
And did y'all have a lot of like WCW merch or toys in the stores? Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna. Because I recognize NWO. Like NWO was huge, so I do remember seeing a couple things, and then it's Hulk Hogan. So I always recognized him. But it was way more WWF and WWE stuff around locally.
We had some because at that time during the Monday Night Wars, that's when I moved to the DMV. So being like the DC area, you're getting like the clash of both, where it's like the South and the North, and then DC was like the meeting point. So it was like you got both of them. That's what I was like, what the fuck is this WCW shit? But then by that time, I was familiar with NWL. Now Brett's over there. Now Macho Man's over there. Sting. I can't even do it as good as Shivani, but
it's Sting.
That was a good one.
He's still doing it, but that's a different
story. To this day. So
I got
go ahead, Brian.
I got an old WCW one because So I wanted to look at some Brian Pillman stuff because did y'all see Lexus King last night? It he did that shit.
He did that shit. I know him
Guilty
a
as fuck.
long time. He did
We
that shit.
we kind of like everybody's hoping, and I know shout out to Victor Perry. If it's Lexus King that's responsible for Trick Williams instead of Mello, he's going to be the loudest person on Twitter because he's been the biggest supporter. But like Lexus King last night came out there, and if he didn't look like his dad, like he feels more like his dad than he's ever did before, just instigating. And he caused Trick to like lay Mello out because he moved. But and then Brian Pillman came on my screen and just brought that back to my
Oh,
attention.
I love it. I have a question for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
So, we talk about, the Attitude Era a lot and stuff like that, and, the Stone Colds and the Rocks and of the time. But who is a wrestler that is unique to you growing up, like a Brian Pillman,
Mm-hmm.
for obvious reasons, but also what wrestler besides the usual suspects kind of defined your childhood as a wrestling fan?
Mr. Perfect.
Ooh.
And the reason why I
Ooh.
spit up the gum sometimes and or throw a popcorn or try when I play basketball or I'm at the court and I throw the backwards because of those vignettes. Yeah,
Mm,
yeah, Mr. Perfect. It's the reason why he's in my top 5 or 6.
wow.
Yeah, I loved Mr. Perfect. The music, everything. It made me really a fan of Curtis Axel and with the fact that he was with Paul Heyman. But yeah,
Mhm.
Mr. Perfect is definitely one of them.
So for me, I'll go Attitude Era, and it was the
Mhm.
Dudley Boys. And it was because
Oh.
they look very unique and different from what we were getting at that time. Edge and Christian were like supermodels. The Hardys were basically like everything in that Limp Bizkit, Corn, era of like punk rock, Blink-182 and stuff like that. And then you have the Dudleys who are like, they originally come in with the tie-dye, but then they go to like the military fatigues, the cutoff shirts, they're 3Ding everyone, but now they're putting man, woman, and child through tables. And that was like my first experience of just like
They
not
are.
just their form of tag team wrestling, but like watching them put people through tables. And now
Mm.
for me, that's synopsis with them with like the 3D is always for me the greatest tag team finisher of all time. But now them putting anyone through tables is like when I think tables now I think them because they were just doing that ad nauseum. And it didn't matter if you were fucking a top star. Well, except for Stone Cold, which they never did it too. But like Rock caught it, Undertaker caught a table, Trish caught
Mhm.
a table, Tori caught it didn't matter to them. And that's one of those that's like, yeah, that'll forever stick with me. And especially that they were New Yorkers was like an added bonus.
Yeah, that was a good plus there.
I got another one for you though,
Mhm.
and it's not Brutus Beefcake.
It's hard to top perfect, but go ahead.
Braided British Bulldog, man. I love the British Bulldog. Where
With
he
the
had
court,
the,
I was gonna say with the cornrows.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I don't know. It was something. I don't know what it was. Whether it
Was
was
it
the music.
Winston? Because he would sometimes pull up with his dog, with his actual bulldog.
No, you don't know me. That would have been the last thing. But his move set, the vertical suplex, and you hold people up. I thought that was cool. I thought the running power slam was cool because it was a move I could do on my sister. Um, but yeah, him, Sting, just the move set Sting had was definitely something that was, part of my childhood. And for some reason, it not that I have any memories of this person, but I had WCW trading cards. So because of that, the Z Man,
The what?
I
the
don't
Z
know
Man,
who you're talking about.
he was like I had. So back in the day, he had these WCW trade cards. He was like a WCW worldwide staple, WCW Saturday Night staple. But yeah, him, he wasn't. But it's just like when I think about like wrestling back then, he's somebody like I always think about. And the Dutch Wonder Kid, Alex Wright.
Mhm.
Okay, he looks a little like he looks a little bit like It's like if Colin Farrell and the model Rick Martel had like a
Yes.
kid and
Yeah.
they wrestled.
Yo,
Wait,
In the
I'm just
face, he
googling too.
looks
That is so
just like Colin
accurate.
Farrell, but like his gear and everything is like, yeah, that screams Rick Martel.
yo, model Rick Martel is another one though, because I didn't
Ooh.
realize like he was actually like more like a solid worker from like the territory days, because you figure by the time we started, it's more cartoonish. So seeing him, he was that nasty heel. He had the spray.
The
He was so
arrogance.
annoying. But as a child, that I wasn't supposed to like him. And I remember being so excited when Razor Ramon beat him to win the Intercontinental Championship, because I remember the Battle Royal after Shawn Michaels had got suspended. It was the Battle Royal on Raw, and then the next week they had the last two competitors, and Ramon beat him and became the IC champion. And this was after he had turned heel, babyface. I mean,
The man wrestled a match at WrestleMania blindfold. Well, with a back over his head, but basically blindfolded. And we all like that shit because we all love Jake.
Mm-hmm.
I did. I did. Oh, Dean Malenko.
Yo, remember his date with Lita?
Vaguely. You say that. I'm like, wait, that was they fucking love romantic angles, didn't they?
And that's when she was with the Hardy Boys, and then like she turned the lights out, and he turned the lights out. She's like, "No, I like it with the lights on." And Matt Hardy's standing there with a glass bottle, and he bangs him on the head.
Wow, I haven't thought about that in a long time.
Of course they love angles. Pete, do you know what company we talk about? Vince had like 19 of them. And the product has like one in like a 5-year span.
Oh my God. It was so,
it's like, God damn, this old man's having another affair. Who's the chick? Oh shit. Dawn Marie, Tori Wilson, Trish Stratus. Come on down.
They all got a piece.
Mm-hmm. Ernest the Cat Miller. I'm about to hurt somebody.
Wow.
Now that is a throwback.
What he said he'd give you because he was a karate belt. So, so he had to give you 5-minute warning or something like that.
Oh, I don't remember this.
Yeah, that was the kind of his stick. Oh, it said Mr. Man punished Perry Saturn for his botched man. So that's what that was? I just thought it was just trying to find shit for him.
So supposedly, Perry Saturn was in the ring with like someone that was a little green, and they like fucked something up.
Mm-hmm.
And Perry Saturn like visibly like beat the shit out of him in the ring. Oh. Supposedly, and then his punishment was then, I think it was even like a match on like Sunday Night Heat or something, like nothing like crazy significant. And then the punishment was him in the mop, and it literally was never the same from that point on.
But he was walking around with Moppy.
I remember, see, because I was a kid,
mm-hmm.
I was entertained by almost everything I saw. And another reason why, like going back to what we miss about watching as a kid, is like I kind of hate that I know the backstory to that. Like I kind of hate that I know like that the business side of that. Like when I was a kid, I just enjoyed this because he played the role really well, and I was like, okay, Moppy. And Moppy was at WWF New York. I mean, come on, like
you know what though? Let's I'm gonna keep it a buck, right? When we was doing the Book of Wrestler Mike Tyson episode, and it was Dave and Andreas Hale, they was talking about it, and both of them was talking about Tyson being up there, and they was breaking down, like both of them were in college at the time, and they was saying, man, we know this is crazy, and for them to be kayfabe already to be broken for them during the Attitude Era, it made me happy that during that time I was still in kayfabe for the exact reasons you just said, P, because I was able to enjoy the Attitude Era and the New Generation era just as a fan. I wasn't thinking about, well, what's the booking psychology? No, it was literally, is Stone Cold going to be better than The Rock at WrestleMania 15? And if not, he's going to lose. That was all my mindset.
And that was such a huge fucking deal for them to get Mike Tyson at that time, because Tyson was still Tyson. And then you're putting him in there with Stone Cold. It was like, yo, Are they really about to fight for real? Because Stone Cold, I love you, but you about to get your ass whooped. That's Mike Tyson. That is Brooklyn. Don't
Yeah,
do that.
and now we know that Mike Tyson loved the business, so he was going to do whatever. It wasn't a thing like, oh man, we ain't got to worry about because Mike Tyson loved the business, so we ain't got to, you know what I mean? Real quick, want to update everybody. We are watch AEW as a family. MJF taking on Daniel Garcia for the World Heavyweight Championship match. We know how this is going to end. This will put butts in the seats. You know, today's Keith Lee's birthday. The AEW wrestler Keith Lee.
Oh shit!
Yeah, and
Wait, there's another Keith Lee.
You ain't been on social media?
I've been purposely avoiding that nonsense because when I see Keith Lee, the only thing that comes up in my head is wrestler Keith Lee and making sure he's good, not like shenanigans. I was like, that's not my Keith Lee. Y'all can have that bullshit.
Right. But yeah, Keith Lee, if he's challenging Samoa Joe for the ROH TV title tonight. I hope he wins. I mean, that would be good to pull the trigger while Keith Lee is trending.
Yo, imagine if he fucking shoves Samoa Joe like out the ring.
Oh,
that pounds. It's my birthday, bitch. Yeah.
Andre Stacey, remember that night? Eyewitness Sports that night thought it was real. Yeah, talking about Eyewitness News Sports thought it was real when you brought up Mike Tyson. You know, and that was the thing. Like, I wasn't watching at the time. You remember watching that night vividly?
I do, because Tyson was still Tyson, and at that point, I was still like a big boxing head. You know, heavyweight boxers were still like the biggest shit in the world. They were treated just as like huge celebrities as like rappers are now.
Yeah.
You know, boxing's kind of fallen off, but back in the day, it's like, yo, Ali, Tyson, like George Foreman, like those are big ass names. But Tyson was just like LeBron, like prime LeBron, where it's like, yeah, this guy is the baddest dude on the planet. This guy can knock anyone the fuck out violently with either hand. Do not fuck with him. But he was just a huge ass national celebrity. And you got Stone Cold, like prime Stone Cold, where like even celebrities in Hollywood knows who the fuck Stone Cold is. It's like, bro, that was a moment where it was like, nah, we gotta watch this. And my parents like, oh shit, Tyson's here? Okay, we're sitting down as a family then.
P, you was watching around that time. Mike Tyson. Your thoughts? Because I'm pretty sure you knew exactly who he was.
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah.
Because my dad was a big boxing. Everyone was a boxing fan at that point. Like, just
how many Tyson parties people had?
Oh my god, yes, and it was infamous for being like, the fight not lasting long. Yeah, I remember that era.
We're all chipping in for the $100 pay-per-view to watch Tyson knock someone out in 26 seconds, and we were all just
like spoofed that, where it was just like, oh, that's it. So I remember Mike Tyson very vividly in the 90s, and I remember when he got suspended from boxing. It was a big deal. It was everywhere. So then, like, oh my god, he's gonna be on WWF television. Like, for me, it was really exciting because, like you said, now my mom is definitely gonna come out and sit down and watch this with us, because it's like, oh shit, what the fuck is Tyson doing? That is the most genius move that they could have ever made, because he's not allowed in a boxing ring, but he's still in a ring. So it's kind of like the perfect marriage, you know. And because Mike Tyson respected the business, we didn't have to really kind of worry about him being too unpredictable, because he was just so excited to be there, because he's always was a wrestling fan. So as a kid, I was just like locked in, and he's like fucking mixing it up with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like, inject that shit in my veins. I was like locked in all the way.
The suspension was for the Holyfield thing, right?
Yep.
Yeah, see, the reason why I laugh is because I remember I was living here at the time, and like in the DC area, they did like a spoof song to it with like Kurt Franklin's Stomp, but they called it Chomp. And they were making fun of why did you bite? You lost a fight. Chomp.
Do you have that? You must put that through the chat tonight.
I need to find that ASAP, because that was the funniest shit.
In the notes.
Oh my goodness.
We must see it. I remember Keith brought up, y'all remember also on Ash Bridges. I didn't watch the episode, but I remember, you know, that's when like everybody wanted a piece of the WWE on all TV. We talk about watching wrestling on TV. You can even make an extension of watching wrestlers on TV, because you think about that 70s show. You know, You go back to Boy Meets World, Mankind, um, Vader. Vader was a staple on Boy Meets World. Even I want to say, what was the name of that show? Unhappily Ever After with Nikki Cox, and I believe Mankind was there because he was like this diehard wrestling fan, and he met Nikki Cox like on the road somewhere, and they was like back in the hotel room, and he's like watching wrestling. He's like, "Oh, you really like this stuff?" And he was like, "Yeah, Mankind is fighting because Undertaker took his girlfriend," and so it was just like, but they always found a way to implement wrestling. Even in the movies, Macho Man was in Spider Man, and that was rated up Macho Man, yeah. Um, but it's just like one of those things, and like now, you see it. I never understood like why like Warner Brothers or Time Warner family don't implement the AEW stars more on the NBA and inside shows. Justin brought up earlier, like that is the
Right.
premier sports show.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is like even if you don't watch basketball, you just might tune in to the clips just to see what Chuck and Shaq gonna do with each other. It's like y'all. Jay Cargill should have been a staple on that show. I mean, for goodness sake, she played basketball. She was a professional basketball player. Yeah, Bret Hart had his own Western show. If I'm not mistaken, that was during the time he after he dropped the title to Sean, so he could kind of like try acting.
Mm.
Is
Yeah,
that around the same time as The Simpsons?
Mm, might have been.
no, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. Oh yeah, that was so good, so good, so good. You know what else I noticed? Because I watch all the sitcoms that I watch are like old.
Mhm.
Anything that was released in like the late 90s, mid 2000s, there was had wrestling references
Yes.
because wrestling was so popular at one point where you almost couldn't not mention it. Like,
Mhm.
you know how we said like earlier how sitcoms spoofed the Tyson fight parties? That's because it
Yeah.
was a part of like pop culture. So it was like if we're gonna make a TV show that's like reverent to what's happening, we're gonna include that. So you had to
Mhm.
talk about it. Anyone watch King of Queens? Because that's one of my favorite shows.
Yes, I've
And
Mm-mm.
seen King of Kings.
Kevin James wrestled in high school with Mick Foley. I don't know if anyone knew
Mm.
that.
In real
And
life?
in real life, yeah,
Okay.
in real life.
That explains
And
why he's kind of nimble.
as a big, yeah, right, he is.
As a husky Harris guy, like he's kind of nimble. It's like, all right, Kevin James.
He
Remember when
really
Kevin James
is.
was a thing for like a while, for like a
What was
short
that about?
period?
Because I don't get it.
People fuck with Kevin James, man.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm here for it. But he mentioned like he would say things like SmackDown, or there was
Yeah.
a episode where there was a Stone Cold Steve Austin poster in one of his friends' houses. So it was one of those things where you were gonna like bring it up. And
Mhm.
that was always exciting to see that because that's where you saw some of your favorite people, like even your favorite like art music artists. Them guesting on your favorite sitcom was like another way to see them because we couldn't go to their Instagram, we couldn't go on YouTube or TikTok to see like what they were doing when they popped up on like Beyonce, like Destiny's Child on was it Smart Guy that they were on like that, like
Yeah.
popped. And it was the same way when a wrestler was on something,
Mhm.
Celebrity Deathmatch had Stone Cold and Vince McMahon. That's how hot this rivalry was, that it was a segment on an MTV show. So where people would understand the dynamic of that feud.
Yo, I remember when Celebrity Deathmatch, like the Vince McMahon and Austin episode happened.
Hmm.
Brother Hugh came to school the next day, and him and I think my friend Kobe, they was talking about it. And I was like, "What do you mean Vince McMahon and Stone Cold was wrestling on MTV?" Because I just couldn't understand
Mm.
the concept. And it was like, "Oh, you have this thing called Celebrity Deathmatch," and I was like,
It's the
"So he did."
funniest shit ever.
Yeah,
It used to be so good.
yeah,
It's
but it was
so wild. Like I
that's.
remember, was it Tommy Lee wrestled someone, and it was the
Mhm.
whole Tommy Lee Pamela Anderson sex tape thing. So they had like the finishing move where like he whipped out his thing, and then like the thing
Oh my
poked like
god.
a on the guy's head, and that's how he won. It's like, bro, what? Why are we watching this?
Oh my god. Like we really were like watching that as
It's like I
kids.
That's wild.
go pull it up, man. That actually happened. That's how wild celebrity death matches. But then bring it home, it's like, yeah, not only do you have Austin on commentary, but yeah, sometimes Austin will get in there and mix it up, man. And it was, we were tuning into that shit.
Shout out to that ESPN commercial they did.
Oh yeah,
I popped for that. That was good.
Right. I wish more wrestlers appear on. Ricardo, I got something for you. If you want to watch a wrestler be in a movie, Hulk Hogan, Suburban Commando.
What? That sounds like the most B-list movie ever, but probably the coolest thing.
And even funnier, guess who else appears in that goddamn Travis Steven movie? The Undertaker.
Stop. Acting? Mark be acting?
Dead ass. Go pull it up. Suburban Commando.
Dead ass, the dead man be acting? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is young Undertaker. This is like
red hair
91,
Undertaker.
92. Yes.
Oh, he was the Undertaker.
Yes. Oh. He's like Baby Taker.
Yes, China was definitely on a lot of shows. She was extremely popular at one point.
Oh, I forgot.
Did we have we done a fan club on like wrestlers turned actors or just those type of projects?
No, but it's in the idea section.
Oh my god, you're the best. You are the best. Oh wow, Third Rock from the Sun, Pacific Blue. Wow, you're like literally bringing it back. Oh my god. So it's funny you say that, Trell, about the Macho Man Slim Jim commercials because I didn't watch WCW and I was too young to watch Macho Man in WWF. I only knew him from those commercials. Like I didn't make the wrestling connection at all. To me, he was just like the Slim Jim guy. And I would, see it in supermarkets and be like, oh, that, and you had to say it, Say it, Brent. Yes. What you're good at imitating.
Snap into a Slim Jim. Ooh, yeah.
So it's like later on learning that he was a wrestler is like, wow.
Macho Man is Seth Rollins. Or I should say Seth Rollins is Macho Man. When you really look at everything going on, until Roman being Hogan, Seth Rollins is Macho Man. If there was the only difference is the money is better, the TV shows and networks is better. But back in the day, you had an A team and a B team. Macho Man was the headliners of those B shows. Everybody was on Hogan show. But you look at knowing what I know about you, you would have been a huge Macho Man fan just on fashion alone. Because of like the clothes, all the stuff, and what I loved about him was he was very meticulous about the outfits that he wore because he didn't want towns to see him in the same outfit twice. And I'm like, man, like he was.
Are we talking Macho Man?
Talk about investment.
Yeah,
and you see the fit he pulled up to with Arsenio when Arsenio was like the top fucking place to go.
Yes.
And then you look at what Seth Rollins is doing, and it's like, yo, I could totally see him doing that. Like, oh my gosh, you imagine them two collaborating? I mean,
yeah, Seth, I like the way you dressing and talking.
That's
perfect. I like the way you dressing and talking.
Because you really seamlessly transition.
That is so good.
But it's like, I mean, let alone the promos that they would have with each other. Then the matches, you talk about a dream match.
Nah, they would go stupid in the matches.
That's like we need a best of 7. Steamboat. It would be better than Savage Steamboat. And I say that with confidence. No offense to Ricky Steamboat, but yeah, Seth Rollins, Macho. Oh, come on now.
And especially if it was like pre-knee injury Seth when he was like faster in the ring and just like fuck it, YOLO.
Yeah. Facts. But
Tony, to answer your question real quick, it's the Roddy Piper movie, John Carpenter's They Live. Horror movie.
Really?
Yep.
I don't remember.
Kick ass and chew bubble gum, and I'm all out of bubble gum.
That's where he got that from? I always thought he just and then he took it to the WWE. Wow.
Shout out to John Carpenter, the man that gave us Halloween.
Or he was in WWE. Interesting.
No,
No,
I
he
think he
just
took
took
a
the
break
line.
from WWE
Oh,
to go
gotcha,
do that
gotcha.
movie because it's fucking John Carpenter. Guy made Halloween and Halloween
Right.
2. Like, you don't say no to John
That's dope
Carpenter.
shit.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
I mean,
check it out.
Piper retired at WrestleMania 3. That was supposed to be his last match, but we know how wrestling retirements go. And then you think at Royal Rumble 92, he wins the Intercontinental Championship from the Mountie, and then drops it to Brett at WrestleMania 8. Mind you, he was supposed to retire at WrestleMania 3. Like, that's crazy. I see Vin. Shout out to Vin
Hi,
from Wrestle
Vin.
Rap. I didn't realize that. I forgot that they did give Diesel Slim Jim commercials for a minute.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, that would have
I
been
Wow.
don't
like
either. That's because
94,
Macho Man
95.
just bodied that shit.
Yeah. I'm
Such a
assuming that might have been right before they had the deal. I mean, before he took it, like in between his time from WWF to WCW. But yeah, it's
I
good to
don't
see
remember
LA Knight get him.
Yeah,
that.
very full
Yeah.
circle. Yeah. It's like a very full circle moment. And commercials has this thing that gets me all the time. Like, and I hear the jingle or I hear the line from something, I can literally remember me like in front of my television watching it, and it brings me back to like such a good time.
Yeah.
Also, did anyone have the CDs? Like, I know we had a fan club before we went into those, but the CDs were nostalgic because you can kind of relive those moments of like the entrances at home.
Yeah, of course. I mean, man, we got in trouble. Me, my sister, my aunts, because they was having live wrestling matches, and I was the quote unquote DJ. So Vince says, "Where's the belt?" But yeah, she says it's coming out tomorrow.
I'm gonna
Stay
unveil
tuned,
it for the
Vin.
first time since the event tomorrow night on Thirsty Thursday. And yeah, it's gorgeous.
But yeah, those CDs, man. Like, I vividly remember my sister was Sable, and my aunt was China, and they had a match, and China had to come out to DX music, and they had a match right there. So like, yeah, just that was fun. I bought all of them. Shout out to Kmart.
Yo, Kmart came through in the
Ooh.
clutch with some good music back in the day. RIP.
Wait, but you would have
Hey,
you probably would have been in.
yo.
That was wild to be saying that as a kid. Yeah. That is crazy.
So that's where that's from. No wonder our fucking teachers was like, yeah, y'all can't be playing wrestling music. Y'all keep saying suck it. Y'all want head. Like, no.
Right? Like, what is gotten into y'all?
I mean, when you go to high school in the DMV, there's only so much to do if you weren't 18. And they're like, nah, y'all up to shenanigans and shit. We see these young girls coming in pregnant sophomore year and then they disappear junior year. No, enough of this.
V, did you tell us who was the wrestlers that like synonymous with your childhood?
I'm trying to think of like
Ooh.
people I haven't mentioned before because Krista B and I do go back a lot on this show. I don't want to bring up like Stone Cold, but I was a big D'Lo Brown fan. I love, also he was black, so, and I liked him in Nation of Domination. So shout out to the European Championship. That doesn't get like, because that's a discontinued championship, like the history of the wrestlers that held it also is kind of erased. And D'Lo Brown and X-Pac, like they defended it. It was cool growing up.
I want that belt.
That would be dope.
Yeah, I remember when Corey got it. Right when they redid it.
Of course he did.
Of course.
Yeah, and the York Continental Champion. And that was a big
Ooh,
deal when
yes.
you think about D'Lo Brown, black man, holding up the European and the Intercontinental Championship. That was a huge deal.
Very much so. Hey. Yeah, so like D'Lo Brown, I really enjoyed.
All right, I'll give you guys credit. That European title looks nice.
It does, right? So
And
good.
Justin adding it to his Attitude Era collection.
Ooh.
I'm just
Stay
looking.
tuned.
It would look good, like in between the TWG and the TWC.
I would. Pretty good.
I definitely can't put the Brock Lesnar one there because the Brock Lesnar one's huge.
Mm.
Yeah,
I
that looks
would,
good
like,
in your hands only.
yeah, your hands only.
Because I ain't gonna lie, I didn't like it, but then I'm like, oh wait, but the way you held it, I'm like, that fits you.
Hell yeah, that shit up like fucking Roman. This is why we don't. This is why we hit the gym. It was like heavy ass belt.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, it's a Brock Lesnar custom belt, and Brock is a big boy, so
It
it
makes
makes
sense.
sense. Jinx.
No. Yeah, me.
Y'all remember when
Yeah.
when they would change the belts on TV, or when they would just like any memorable moments on TV with like the belts or like title changes?
I remember the Broken Skull belt vividly.
Okay.
I remember I think it was the Intercontinental Championship that got thrown over the bridge.
Yep.
I remember that so vividly because, and like we talk about it all the time, but me and my sister we had huge imaginations as kids.
Mhm.
We grew up watching the Rugrats, and we really
Nice.
very much emulated how they were able to just do the wildest things. So when it came to wrestling in the Attitude Era, we were so into the storylines to the point where I was just like, oh my God, like, do you think who's gonna go in there to get it? Like, is it gone? Are they gonna be able to find it? Like everything that happened, we were always just like kind of debrief and just be like, okay, like, we'll find out on Monday. So like I don't remember changing of belts, but I do remember storylines where they were really dramatic with it,
Yeah.
which
I
is
remember so I remember when Razor Ramon won the IC title, and then Shawn Michaels came back with his IC title, and then they was telling he's saying that bogus belt that Razor Ramon has, and then that's why. So wrestling also, watching wrestling on TV taught me a lot of words in the dictionary. I learned what bogus meant because of that, like vividly because of Shawn
Really?
Michaels. Yeah, but yeah, I remember, that whole situation, and then obviously Razor coming away with the title. I brought up WWF superstars early. I vividly remember Diesel beating Razor for the title and being like, I remember being upset, like, yo, what? Come on, man, Shawn Michaels cheating and this guy. But again, that kayfabe, because Diesel was like, obviously the bodyguard. Now we know, like, oh, he was getting like a life, like learning the business at ringside. But as a child, it's kind of like when children see Omos. They don't see him as green. We say Omos is green. They see him as, oh, yo, who gonna beat him? Who gonna take him down? And that's the beauty about watching wrestling as kids. I knew somebody was gonna bring this up on the show tonight.
pull
I
it
knew
up.
it.
Because you know what it is? You just know that would never happen now. So if we're
Facts.
like going
Choppy,
back,
choppy.
we gotta bring that up.
The PP.
Yo, that whole you talk about the storytelling. Val Venus comes out there, gyrates in front of the lady, takes her out on a date because it's also crazy.
What?
As somebody who grew up in a house around like girls who were teenagers and also went to school and taught wrestling with girls, I've never heard one woman or girl thirst over Val Venus. And now I think about it, I'm like, they told us he was, his character, he was a porn star. But I never, and the women would go crazy when he came out on TV. But I'm like, we seen them go crazy over Rick Rude. And I could see, because he looked like an 80s movie star. Like if you look at, yeah, like Burt Reynolds, Victor Newman back in the day, like Rick Rude looked like them. I'm like, that man went crazy. I don't remember women going crazy. Did you go crazy with Val Venus?
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
He ain't talking to me because I know my ass is at home like, what the
I reacted
fuck?
like that is because I was like a child, but even like looking back, I'm just like, ew.
Yeah, it's like, what is this Spice Channel shit you have on my television right now?
Because like all the girls was going love The Rock, even when he was a bad guy. I was like, oh, but he's so cute. You know what I mean? And they love The Rock, and they like cheering for Stone Cold because of the character.
Sure.
But and then obviously people like Shawn Michaels, X-Pac, even Triple H. Remember, no girl going crazy over Val Venus.
Nah.
But that storyline was crazy, you know. And I remember when they turned the lights off, and then I vividly remember like watching it, and my sister looking at me, and me looking at her like, "Do you think they cut it?" Like,
Oh,
you know, we looked at each other because you heard the snap, like the television, you know, and you don't know. Yeah, and they did you heard the chop fade to black. They also did the digitized so they censored his butt. And you just see him holding him up, and yeah, he's definitely a terrible human being.
They hit the pixelation on his ass,
nah,
literally.
Type Ugly is hilarious. Like,
He had no sauce. He was type ugly.
Hey,
Type
yo,
Ugly
Andre.
is wild.
He said that man got no swag.
Everybody was
Type
confused.
Ugly.
Mm-hmm.
Why him?
But
Why
but
him?
it's crazy because they found something for Kai and Tai, and we ain't gonna act like Taka Michinoku didn't cook back then. Even though
Oh, yeah.
WWE didn't pay much attention to their light heavyweight division, like if he'd have been in WCW with the cruiserweights, oh yeah, he'd have been cooking. But you go back to
Val Venus. Ugh.
even going back to like watching wrestling on television, you look at like the way WCW used to book their shows. That 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock hour was all about the cruiserweights. The Juventud Guerreras, the Eddie Guerreros, the Rey Mysterio. And I remember when Rey Mysterio. I wonder if anybody remember when Rey Mysterio first took off his mask.
Oh, yeah, that was a huge ass deal.
You still muted.
I just saw. Thank you. I just saw that clip of Rey Mysterio getting unmasked, and like it seems like so unreal because he looks so young.
Yeah. And it was crazy, and that was the thing, and it's one of like the way it was fun watching the cruiserweight division, you know what I mean? But then like again, the way they booked their shows, that you knew the NWO was gonna come out there, they was gonna wreak havoc, and you could tell they was just having fun. Babyface Ray rapping with the LWO. Facts.
Hell yeah.
But if you'd have told me like Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero was gonna be WWF champions one day, I'm like, yeah, right.
Damn.
God works in mysterious ways. Thank you, Yatu Sabe.
Oh man.
But yeah, Unmasked Ray was just like, bro, what?
Whole different universe. That feels like.
Yeah. But even Eric Bischoff would say like he wasn't paying attention to what they was doing. It's like, all right, he was trying to put the show together. It's always fun, like you go back and hear him talk about the stories back then of what was happening. But it's also, they really book, they book car crash television.
Yeah.
Well, both of them did, and we watched as a kid and we enjoyed it. And that's the thing, like you just can't take that experience away. I'm glad we had that experience and we can like, sometimes go back and relive it. Sometimes, depends on what you're watching. If you go back and watch the Attitude Era, if you looking for 5-star matches on Monday Night Raw, good luck. But if you want to
program,
you ain't finding that on Monday Night Raw at that time. No.
Yeah, if you want to see like some drama filled programming, it's fun, and just even when you go back and like turn on a Sunday Night Heat, like you brought up the entrance music earlier, just to hear the glass break and Austin come out there, you might not even know like you might think like what was he doing on this particular day, but it puts you in that mindset of being as a child or hearing the Rock's music hit to kick off a show.
Imagine if you were in the crowd during that one Raw where Stone Cold kept coming out at random points during Raw, just fucking stunning the life out of every single person. I think he was supposed to face Triple H, but he was just like stunning everybody in his path, including like the refs and shit. So he came out like, it's on YouTube. You can pull this out. He comes out like 3 or 4 times, just like stunning the fuck out of people. So imagine you're in the crowd, like, yo, we got Stone Cold again. We got him 4 times tonight. What do you do? Stunner, 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 stunner.
I mean, the Attitude Era definitely would have cooked during in the TikTok era.
Oh yeah,
those clips. You know,
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
my God, yeah.
you
There's,
imagine
like,
how
so much
many.
that would've went viral.
I was gonna say, yeah, the beer truck, the milk truck, like
Mhm.
you know, and
Oh, they would
even
have loved Kurt Angle on TikTok.
oh
Oh
yeah,
my God.
He was
Yes, I do
funny.
suck. And then you could just see like people just
That
interjecting
was
that with like other
funny
things.
shit right there.
facts, man, and just imagine like what stuff The Rock would have given us behind the scenes. You know, we see
Ah,
Roman doing like his behind the scenes
so
videos, you know,
good.
in the gym. Imagine what The Rock would have done. You know, I could see Rock more in the social than Austin. Feel like Austin would have been probably like Ambrose, like I ain't doing that shit.
Yeah, oh, 1,000%. I think he would've cared more about his character and, like, how it
Mhm.
come off. It was like, Stone Cold Steve Austin wouldn't be having, like, Twitter fingers, like, no. He gonna show up and, like, beat the shit out of you.
But DX, now they would have been funny.
They would have been
Oh my
hilarious. They would have.
goodness.
That's like TikTok goals. Some of those at those segments back in the day. Also, it's crazy what was considered risque back then, and now we can just pull up TikTok and see even more vulgar behavior than that. Because
Mhm.
kids are never gonna understand like actually having to like be told that you can't watch something and actually not being able to watch it.
Yeah.
Kids now, like, yeah, there's age restrictions and all that kind of stuff, but for the most part, kids can access whatever the fuck they want to a certain extent. But
Mhm.
the whole DX reading the letter from the FCC and all of that, like, that's the kind of magic that we'll never get again, because what made the Attitude Era so dope was that it was going against what was supposed to be on television. So we like ate all that shit right up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
That was a good time.
it was such good times, you know, and that's the thing. Like watching wrestling as a kid, it was so innocent, even though the content wasn't innocent. Our thoughts and stuff was
The
innocent,
content definitely wasn't innocent.
you know, and that's why I said like again, you know, we haven't brought him up much on the show tonight, but Bret Hart. When I watched a Bret Hart promo at 6 and 7, 8 years old, I felt like Bret Hart was always going into for the fight of his life.
Hmm.
And he
And
took
that's
the
exactly how he wanted you to feel. So I'm glad
Mhm.
you felt that way.
Yeah. You know, I never thought like, "Oh, Bret can't cut promos." Yes, he could. He was believable, you
Hmm.
know? He was very believable. So, it was like he said like, it was always like a schoolyard fight. That's the way he always approached it. Like, he was gonna tell you what he was gonna do, and, you know, it's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get I'm gonna get beat up a little bit, but I'm coming out, I'm gonna show why I'm the excellence of execution."
And it was showing the ring too, because you see him get whipped into the turnbuckle, and no one else to this day sells it like him. Where it's just like
Right.
just getting whipped into the turnbuckle is like, oh my chest,
That's like, that
oh
hurt.
my
Between the
ribs.
chest or the back, when he's throwing, he jumped that, you know, to his knees. Like, yeah, both of them.
Yep. Oh, I miss those days.
Mhm.
I really, really, really miss those days.
And the cool shit was because there was no social media, you didn't have shit spoiled. Like
Oh,
you go
Fact.
back to
surprise
like the
factor.
mankind shit is like the outlier, and that's how big of a fucking deal it was that they went and spoiled that because shit wasn't getting spoiled. It was literally like you tune in or you miss it.
Mhm. Remember the night Vince McMahon won the WWF title on SmackDown? It's like you never saw it coming. And me, because I hated Triple H when he was a heel, like 99 to '01, I hated Triple H. So when Vincent, I was always like, I don't care who do it, just take the belt off of him. And of course, I'm watching it from a child perspective, a teenager, where the business isn't ruined for me. So I'm like, bro, come on, yo. I need like, and then when Vince beat him, I was like, oh, this is good. And then he didn't keep the belt, obviously.
Yeah.
You said 99 to '01. That just gotta go like 99 to 2015 for me. Cause when I got back into wrestling, and I'm turning on Raw, and here comes a
I'm with you
30-minute
on that
promo of
one,
this
Justin.
motherfucker doing this.
I was genuinely confused. I'm like,
And I
wait,
was just like,
why is Triple H champion? Why is he winning Royal Rumbles?
it's
Make
like,
it make sense.
why are we getting 30-minute promos where you're talking like this
I'm like,
and that? I was like, let me change the channel.
listen.
Couldn't stand Triple H.
Nah,
It took
bruh.
NXT for me to come all the way around Triple H because I really could not fucking stand them. I
Me
did not get the
too.
appeal. I was like,
And my
bro,
love for
is it
Stephanie McMahon.
is it really because you're married to Steph that you're getting pushed this fucking strongly?
That's how
I
I
don't
felt.
get it. The matches are not spectacular. I did not see it for Triple H for a long ass time.
Nah, but you brought up a good point. That stuff. If y'all haven't, please, please check out Brian Gewirtz's book. Because he talks about that, and if just to get a summary of it. But you got to read the book or listen to it. But if you've seen the episode of Young Rock when they bring that up, and they read, the funny part is because he talks about like how mad Triple H was at The Rock for doing that, and then he was in turn mad at him because it was Brian Gewirtz's idea. He the one who pointed it out to Triple H. I mean, pointed out to The Rock. He say,
wow.
"Rock, when he talks, he does
It
this."
does like this.
Hey,
Classic.
Stephanie, you
Oh,
want to go out to dinner tonight? It sounds like Juvenile saying and shit like that.
Oh, so good.
no, and it's also funny you bring that up because a lot of like wrestling intertwined with music for me during that time. So like I was listening to like heavy Cash Money, Jay-Z Volume 2 during that Attitude Era. So it's like I'm listening to the music during commercial breaks. You know what I mean? So it's like it's putting me back in that childhood, that teenage years of me. Like when the fact you brought up Juvenile just like reminded me, like, because that was around like what 400 Degrees came out in the end of '98, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because back that ass up. They did the video for that in '99.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. Speaking of music, what if like the game, like Triple H did a fucking the remix to make him say Master P?
That was. Why did I just picture Triple H like in the video and shit?
Nigga say,
Yo, they can still make that happen.
the
Like
King of Kings.
2000 shit is trending, and we'll make that shit happen.
Mm-hmm.
They know. So I have a question
Mm-hmm.
for you guys to close this out because this I love.
Mm-hmm.
What are some rituals or routines or traditions you have with your family that you just cannot like help but reminisce about at like all the time when it comes to wrestling? So I'll start really quickly.
You trying to make us cry?
I know, right? So shout out to my dad because he definitely got me and my sister into wrestling, and his grandmother got him into wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched it every night. That was the one time that we can stay up past our bedtime, or like if we didn't do well in school, we couldn't watch Raw, whatever. And me and Lucius was like, okay, no, we gotta know what happened to Stephanie McMahon. Did the Undertaker kidnap her? Like, what's up? So we were like, we're gonna do whatever we can to make sure we could watch wrestling every week. But the biggest tradition that I always loved were pay-per-views. So I was very fortunate and blessed that my dad, he bought the pay-per-views every month. So that was, never a thing. So we always look forward to it. My mom would cook. She would fry shrimp and make a nice big family size salad, mac and cheese. Like it was a whole thing. And then my god family lived right down the hall from me. So it was one of those things where they would just kind of like run down the hall. Like we would run up and down the hall to like see each other. And my god brother, who you guys might know by the name of Jay Bougie.
Shout out to Bougie.
He is my god brother, and he would come down. We're 7 years apart.
Mm-hmm.
So he would come down and watch wrestling pay-per-views with us every month, and it became a tradition, and it was this big family thing. And it was always something that I look forward to all the time because it was the one time that we like all came together to watch these pay-per-views. And to this day, that's one of the most like significant things that we were able to do because me and Jay Bougie, we have a love for wrestling. Like obviously he's a wrestler, up and coming wrestler, and I'm on the media side of things, but we were able to kind of find ourselves and find our place because we used to watch wrestling together as kids. And also Shout out to Bougie because he was a Stone Cold fan growing up. He wasn't a rock fan. So I wasn't, so
Mhm.
whenever he was around, because it would just be me against my dad and my sister, shout out to Letty, who were rock fans. And I was the one Austin fan. And I had to, like, I was by myself most of the time. But when John was around and he was a Stone Cold fan, so he had my back. So that was a tradition that to this day, like, I can still remember so vividly. I can still smell the shrimp frying, my mom frying the shrimp and sneaking and eating cucumbers out of the salad. And like those memories, that's just me. If you know me, that's like so me. That's some of the, because it wasn't just about wrestling. Like,
Mhm.
because it was something that brought us all together and something that I can think about like to this day and it brings a smile to my face. So I want to know for you guys, did you guys have any like traditions or rituals surrounding wrestling that like, still kind of sticks with you?
Yeah, Survivor Series is always a big one for me. I remember just, either so at that time, Survivor Series was Thanksgiving Eve. And it would be my
Mm.
grandmother if we was at like, if I was over my if my grandmother ordered it, she would be cooking. If my mother ordered it, she would be cooking, and I vividly remember Mr. Perfect and Macho Man teaming up, but doing this thing where they didn't trust each other, and my both of my uncles and my dad sitting there, I was like, they still don't like each other. Um, and then as and that's like early as a child, but like when we got into the Attitude Era, and my grandmother like really was like, it was certain shows, like, if I really wanted to see it, and I would ask her, 'cause I wouldn't wanna ask all the time, but me, my sister, and my, aunts that's closer to my age, we would all be sitting there, and maybe we would either order pizza or she might have cooked, like, Sunday dinner, and my grandmother had so the kitchen she had, like, a really big kitchen, and that was more like a, that's where the main TV was, so, like, vividly remember watching Backlash 2000, losing my voice when The Rock won the title. Um, Royal Rumble, which was unfortunately like the last Royal Rumble that she was here for, which was the 2001 one, and watching that with her. So it was always like a big deal. And then I'd like later on would create like those traditions with my uncle and friends
Aw.
where we would sit there and watch like a lot of the shows before he passed away in 2012. Like, it was a big deal. I would go over his house like watching the last show we watched together was Survivor Series 2011, or even the night Christian won the title. Well, it was the night CM Punk beat John Cena, but I vividly remember him being upset when Christian spit in Randy Orton's face and
Oh,
led him to win the champion. Because at that point, like, I'm cheering, and he's like, "No, because of spit in my face," and I was like, "You do realize this is predetermined, right?" But I'm about to say it to you because you mad.
right. Let me keep that to myself.
Yeah.
I love that.
So for me, you touched on like you guys were at watch parties. I also had that, but specifically WrestleMania watch parties. I remember for WrestleMania 7, WrestleMania 8, we definitely had that in my complex because obviously, WrestleMania, we ain't got money to go to WrestleMania. We live in the fucking projects in the Bronx. But luckily, it was me, like a couple of my cousins, but then also had some friends of mine that lived in like other buildings in our same projects that were like, fuck it, let's just link up, go to this person's house, and while we're watching wrestling, the adults can do adult shit. But for
Mhm.
them, it was like perfect because now y'all are entertained for about 4 or 5 hours, whatever,
Yep.
with this wrestling shit. So that's why WrestleMania 7, WrestleMania 8 is more vivid because I remember watching that in Secord. And then we brought that back when I was living with my best friend, now roommate, like, much years later when I got back into wrestling because he was the one that kind of brought me back with WrestleMania 30. So WrestleMania 31, we brought back like the watch parties. We're like, fuck it. We're gonna have people over, do a whole WrestleMania shit. 31 was more chill. 32, we went all out. Like, we were like, fuck it. We
Mhm.
got games, we got drinks, we got food. I just remember when Sasha lost to fucking Charlotte, or Charlotte tapped out Becky and Sasha didn't win the title. I was like, give me the goddamn bomb. I'm taking shots. I'm pissed. I was furious. But WrestleMania watch parties, man. And then obviously, luckily, God made it happen to where 34 on, we were able to actually go to WrestleMania and
Mhm.
actually spoke that into existence. Like, one day I'm going to go to WrestleMania. So we went from watching in the projects as a kid and just like little watch parties to like, yo, we actually got to go to WrestleMania multiple times. I remember 38. You
Nice.
know,
Woo!
being on the field for 38, and then after night 2, when everyone's clearing out, everyone's trying to get the commemorative chairs and clear out. I was just standing fucking ringside and like the 50-yard line, like, bro, I actually spoke this into existence, but like I'm like arm's reach of the fucking ring of WrestleMania.
Wow.
Like you could have told 6-year-old Justin, like, yo, you're gonna be right here, laying your back in the barricade. Security is actually taking your picture, and you can almost grab the fucking ring.
Nah, facts. Like I don't know if P remember what it was me, her, Andreas Hale, Krista, Cam, and we're leaving this year, and we're cutting through, and by this time they're doing strike, which is breaking down the whole set.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, took it in like, yo, this place was full of people. This was another WrestleMania, but we're like on the floor looking at like everything. And like I took like a quick second because we like trying to move, but I'm looking around like, and I think I like snapped a real quick picture of my phone. But like it was just nothing like it, man. Like you said, I can definitely understand where you coming from.
Yeah, it's like we hear it, and then like we get to take that moment in real quick. It's like, they want to break all this shit down. The man was like, bro, we were not only here, but look how fucking close we are. Just like, yo, that's why I can't wait for Philly. Although I ain't gonna do that in Philly. Like, nah, get me the fuck out of here.
Oh my god. This was great, guys.
Yeah.
This was.
I really
feel
enjoyed.
old.
I was just gonna say that actually.
Once
like
you said what channel, I was like, God damn, Cablevision. What channel was Cablevision for wrestling? I just remember the rotating fucking map of like never ending TV guide. It's like, damn, you missed a channel. Well, we gotta wait 3 minutes. Hold on a sec. Here. 1, 2, 3. Hey, we'll go so slow.
It'd be like that, like if you go on vacation, but you're trying to find wrestling in the hotel room because you don't know, like you said, you don't know what You say you're in a different city. Like when we go to South Carolina, like, all right, I would always try to figure out as soon as, like, say we got there on Saturday and I knew we was gonna be there for Raw. I'm finding out which channels USA because I ain't got time. I need to write that shit down. So when Monday comes, like that's how I saw Jericho's debut on the family vacation.
What?
Mm-hmm. And we didn't have cable at the time, so it was like that was like a treat. Oh, we got
the
cable
big debut.
Yeah, his debut with The Rock.
Wow. And you caught that while on vacation. I'm just like, oh, fuck it, I'm not missing Raw. And you get that moment.
Yep.
God damn.
And again, we didn't know it was coming. That was the best part.
All of that was the best part. When I put out the tweet and it was like, what do you guys miss about watching wrestling? It was like not knowing how the business works. Shout out to Dylan. He actually tweeted that. Just not knowing. Like I thought when wrestlers went behind the curtain, they disappeared until like the next show. That's how much I was so now knowing, like now that like all that shit is just like, it's too much. I miss when it was pure.
Yeah. And it's one of those things, it wasn't like you searched it. It just kind of like fell into our lap.
Right.
Before we even started creating content, you just kind of like, you go on the internet, it's just right there,
For sure. I also want to just shout out all the new people that joined the fan club tonight. I saw a lot of new usernames. Hey, welcome. For those that are joining us for the first time, this is actually, I don't know if I mentioned it enough, but this is the 50th edition of TWG Fan Club. We are here. Me, Queen PR, my crew, Brian H. Waters, Justin Rich, usually Seindole, shout out to her. And we usually sometimes have some special guests. But you can catch us every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, sometimes 7:30. But we are here every Wednesday on Twitch streaming. We talk about all things wrestling. It is a wrestling fan club. We're all in the VIP. And we kind of just take time to just reminisce, talk about more focused things. We did a Dana Brooke fan club appreciation night. We did a TNA appreciation night, and now their Impact is rebranding as TNA. Like, I would like to think that like our fan clubs have something to do with something, because right after we did that Dana Brooke appreciation night, she went down to NXT and was featured in a lot on television. TNA rebranded. We did our favorite wrestling chants, our not so favorite wrestling chants. Last week you guys did the unpopular opinions about LA Knight. So we get into it all. Seindole does her scoreboard for women's matches on PLEs and pay-per-view. So we do a little bit of everything here in the fan club. We love that it's really just a home for wrestling fans to talk about wrestling. Everyone that comes every Wednesday and in the comments is on our VIP list. We love our VIP members. Shout out to Rikarsha, Mike, Andre, Vaughn, Smooth Blackman, everyone that usually joins us. So come, subscribe, follow, do what you got to do on Twitch, subscribe to our YouTube. We're always here, and we're really, really, really happy to have you in the fan club. And if you have a topic that you ever want us to talk about, we love you too, Keith. That you ever want us to talk about, let us know, because this is not just for us. This is for you guys, other wrestling fans. So we like to stay on like what's relevant in the moment, but we also can talk about anything wrestling related. We did reality shows at one point.
On the request line.
Exactly. So let us know what you guys want to talk about. How did it feel to go back in time, guys? I know we feel old, but wasn't it nice to just kind of like just look back?
Yeah, it made it.
Days?
It took us back to like you said, wrestling was when you didn't understand the business. It was innocent, but also just to kind of hear everybody's experiences. To hear about, when your family traditions. To hear Justin's traditions. That's the stuff I live for. Like seeing how everybody grew up in wrestling. Because I always say, like, where was everybody when I was growing up, and now I got y'all. Y'all can't get rid of me now.
Oh, I love
Nope.
it.
And deadass, I want a wrestling buddy now because now I miss these goddamn things.
No, I feel you on that one.
Ben, fired up. I know you Twitch it. I got it on Raw. I mean, I got Raw on Super
Sega
Nintendo.
Genesis. Yeah.
Oh, you really brought it back.
What was that first WWF game that came out in like 91?
The WrestleMania?
I think so. I just remember the fucking they had like the theme songs, but they was just like the low bit ones.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my, yes, it's one of those.
This is the reason why this one my grandfather gave me in.
Did we
90.
do video games yet?
No, we didn't.
Shall we do that next week? Keep the nostalgia going.
I mean, I'm down.
Okay. Shall we go into wrestling video games next week, guys? Let us know in the comments. Yo, it be like that sometimes.
Yeah, nostalgia's fun, man. I need Mania Steel Cage. I never played it. It's a lot. Like when you go down like a rabbit hole, there was so many wrestling video games. But we'll bring that up, soon on TWG Fan
Very
Club.
soon. Okay, it looks like wrestling video games, people are pretty much into that. So make sure you tune in next Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern here on Twitch. You can catch me, Queen PR, my crew, Brian H. Waters, Justin Rich, hopefully Seindole, and if not, maybe some special guests. But we will be here on Twitch to talk all things wrestling video games. I like that we already kind of know. And then maybe the week after, we might take a break for Thanksgiving. But maybe we could get into some Survivor Series stuff next week as well. To get people excited for that.
War games.
Shout out to Adam Pearce though, because I thought he did a great job. You thought he tried. I love the intensity. What did CRISTINA call Scrap Daddy?
Yep,
she does, and it was.
I call him Scrap Daddy.
Oh my
bad. It
was
an 8 out of 10.
She calls Gunther Slap Daddy.
That's good. That's good shit right there.
That's why y'all should be tuning in.
It was an A for effort, but I mean, like when you have the guy that's still around, just like War Games, it's like,
but
can I get Regal?
He can't yet.
I know he can't yet, but then once Adam Pearce did it, you know what I did? I looked for the goddamn video of Regal just intercolored War Games, and then like when Hunter tried to do it, and Regal's like, it's almost like you don't know me at all. Like, what the fuck was that? It's like, yeah, that's why Regal's the man.
Well, we got a Big E special happening on right now with two big men, sweaty, big meaty men.
Big meaty men slapping meat?
Samoa
free
Joe
TV.
Here for it.
defending the ROH TV title against the birthday boy, the wrestling version of Keith Lee. So if I'm AEW, Keith Lee is trending, I'm putting a title on him.
Oh,
Shoot.
hell
Do
yeah.
it.
Hashtag slap meets.
I'm sorry, what? That's hilarious. I'm not gonna kick you out the club, Justin. But that
He's befuddled.
On that note,
I am like, wait, what?
It's like, what the hell do I say to that? Slap meets.
Hashtag slap nuts.
shout
Oh
out to
my
Jeff
god, is
Jarrett.
that the title of this fan club right now? Oh my god, I love it. Oh my god. All right, so where can everybody find you guys?
You can find me on all social media platforms at It's Justin Rich. You can find me here Wednesday nights live on Those Wrestling Girls Twitch channel around 7 p.m. for TWG Fan Club with myself and these three beautiful, illustrious, amazing co-hosts of mine, Seindole. Sending much love. Catch me Tuesday nights, Twitter Spaces around 6:35 p.m. for Turnbuckle Talk with myself, Mimi, and Corey on Black Wrestling's Twitter Space feed, where we talk all things wrestling. You can catch me from time to time on True Heel Heat Sports and True Heel Heat Wrestling. Both those channels are located on YouTube, where we talk sports, wrestling, and all that fun stuff. We here, we outside, we active. Salute to Cablevision. Salute to them big ass
Love
bold TVs
Cablevision.
with like the 20,000 stereo towers. Shout out to the VCR. You came
had
through
the
clutch in
best
the
sound.
90s.
Yeah. Oh man. Shout out to the VCR, but also shout out to the
Shout out to
TV.
the VCR. That's the title of this YouTube.
Shout out to the TV VCR combos, because I had two. That's how I used to dub the tapes. Somebody let me hold a wrestling tape. I was getting my own copy. But yeah, follow me at Brian H. Waters on all social media platforms. Make sure you catch me this week on Wednesday Worldwide with Cal and Ben. This week we talked about the WWE's deal sending and moving NXT to CW, of course, but also we were joined by the wrestling uncle himself, the one and only Cam Seahawk Hawkins. He talked about his latest Ringer article on LA Knight. And then we also so make sure you check. Shout out to the stolen VCRs. But
Yo.
check
Stolen
out,
tapes, all of that shit.
yeah, man. Blockbuster. Shout out to,
Blockbuster Video. Wow, what a difference.
yeah, and of course we, for me it was a Comcast back in the day. But also last but not least, make sure you check me out on the Wrestling Realm tonight, 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to talk about Crown Jewel, the Road to Survivor Series, and most stuff. But Queen PR, it's your turn.
It's my turn. Well, you guys know where to find me by now. At Queen 3_PR. Make sure you subscribe to Those Wrestling Girls on YouTube. Check us out tomorrow night, streaming everywhere. Thirsty Thursday. We are spilling all the tea from Saturday night because we ended up partying till like 2-3 in the morning.
Yeah, because time went back.
His time went back, so we literally was just like, "Oh shit, we got more time." And Justin, you noted it Saturday night. Like, I'm glad that it ended up being a little bit more intimate towards the end, where it was just like the crew just kind of just literally partying and living it up. So we'll spill all the tea tomorrow night. Make sure you're there. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Sun Sport because they are testing some original wrestling content and they were able to give me the opportunity to record some things. So the more engagement and the more sort of views that it gets, the more likely it is that they'll keep going with it and hopefully send me to shows and all that kind of stuff. And then I can put everyone on. So go to my Instagram, go to my stories, share it, comment, all that stuff. It's really, really good stuff. And yeah, that is that. Next week, officially, we're doing wrestling video games. Very exciting. So make sure you tell a friend that's a wrestling fan to come join us on Twitch because we will be there next week on Wednesday and every Wednesday for the most part for TWG Fan Club. And on that note, we are out of here.